And the adventure continues. We're done with the floating continent. The only reason we'll ever want to come back, as far as I know, is because we might want to buy more potions and high potions. Huh. Surprisingly, a lot less land for us out here than I was expecting. Is the world going to expand even more from this at some point? Because that is a lot of empty space. Suspiciously little space considering we have 2 more crystals to find and restore. Yeah, just 3 islands, one of which has nothing for us to really land at. If restoring the water crystal doesn't restore a hell of a lot of land to the world, then I don't know what to think about what's going on here. Oh dear, probably not a great sign that there's only a shard of the crystal here. Right, nothing we can actually do here. Hopefully this Arya person isn't too far from here. Either way, considering how little storytelling there is in this game, it's more than a little annoying that there's been so many moments where we need something specific in order to move on. If there was an actual story around here, and it tried to justify this sort of thing, it might not have felt so obnoxious. Hell, plenty of the 2D Metroid games can give you enough justification that you don't need much story to work with. And again, the original Final Fantasy feels more satisfying to me than this game. But, dear God, some of the things that this game does just feel like they take whatever momentum I had and steal it right out from under my legs. Okay, no hidden path there as far as I can tell. And we have no means of opening that door, when we have a surplus of items meant to let us open mystically locked doors. But no! The item explicitly meant to open doors like that, an item that we can buy multiple copies of, is not our solution to this locked door. Why do we have the ability to buy more of that item if it's only going to unlock 2 doors for us so far? Really? Hit from behind while we're... Just no. Just absolutely no. Well, we're out of that dungeon that we could barely manage to explore, and there's a temple we can't actually enter. Time to search the only other remaining bit of land that we can see if there's anything that lets us advance from there. Okay, should I bother asking exactly what tore this ship in half? Whatever happened doesn't seem like it did clean damage. There's some jagged edges there. But then it's not like this is the kind of game that would reward you for trying to figure something like that out. It just doesn't have that much detail in it. Doesn't seem to be any hidden items in the exterior of the ship, so guess we're going in. Well, this part of the ship certainly seems to be in pristine condition, but I suppose there's not much the game designers could have done to make things seem especially ruined. There's only so much that the tile sets can pull off for a game this old, and while seeing some patches of water is something, Well, if the rest of the world died in the flood, then I've got to admit that seems a lot more biblically brutal than I thought this franchise would do this early in the series. Okay, so we need to do something to wake her up. The old man didn't say anything about grabbing something specific for her, though, so... So the least expensive, commonly available healing item was enough to revive her. I suppose the cargo hold with the healing supplies on the ship broke off and probably took the rest of the crew with it. Again, I'm probably overthinking things here. Ah, well, sometimes overthinking things is part of the fun. Besides, from Final Fantasy V on to 12, the stories will be good enough for overthinking things to be incredibly fun, since they give you plenty to wrap your mind around. I'd just kind of like to get through this game before we start eating especially well in this series. I may have skipped over Final Fantasy II altogether, but 1 and 3 are still the absolute beginnings of the series. 4 and 5 was when they actually started experimenting with how to pull off some good storytelling, and 6 was when they got obscenely ambitious. 7 and 10 were arguably the closest things to perfect that the series ever ended up making. And oh good god, I should probably stop talking about the later games in this series that I haven't gotten around to yet when I'm still working through this one. Assuming the world I'm living in doesn't end before we get to them, we have plenty of time to give each of those games the time they deserve. But I'm pretty committed at this point to getting through this particular one, and we've still got a solid amount of work to go through before we're done with Final Fantasy III. Part of me feels like I should have just had our ship take to the air there, but, I mean, sure, it would save time, but the random encounters are our primary source of money, along with the only way we gain experience to get stronger for the fights that come later. Okay, pretty annoying to get back to the floating continent, mostly because it's not continent-sized on the world map. And it's not helped by the fact that the sprites and camera angle makes it hard to tell if we're at the same plane as the little tile we're supposed to fly into to return to the starting area. It might have been a better idea to buy more high potions, but considering how much each one heals and how much health each member of our team has at this point, there's not really much point in buying that many at all. Seriously. Okay, these flyers are supposed to be hilariously easy for us to deal with at this point in the game, but no, they're giving us trouble, which is definitely annoying. But hey, this isn't as rough as something like this happening in a later area of the game, or in a game where level ups don't matter all that much in terms of your survivability. Right. Back to the newer part of the world. It shouldn't take too long to get the girl where she wants to go. Hopefully she'll have better luck than Desh. Okay, no reaction from her in this room. Well, I don't suppose that power is going to result in us gaining a fresh class right now, is it? Huh. So that thing is supposed to be the key to the door that stopped us earlier? For some reason, I was expecting it to let us enter some dungeon inside the temple somehow. We've certainly got an odd outcropping on the right side of that temple, after all. Considering we've only been walking, it's a bit strange to see Arya having a bit of a rough time keeping up with us walking through the dungeon. I don't recall any of the other characters following us over the course of the game stumbling a bit to try to keep up with us as we move. definitely feels like we're gonna be burning through potions in a hurry in here. Hopefully this dungeon won't last too long. So far, none of the dungeons have been especially massive. Really? She gives an unspecific prayer, and the door is no longer locked. The game didn't really make it clear that what was keeping the door shut wasn't something that we could solve with the right physical key or something. Hence my confusion earlier when we weren't allowed to use any of the mystical keys we already have to try to do something for the door. For some reason, I thought we could go behind the waterfall. I swear, we've seen so many hidden paths in this game and Final Fantasy IV that the lack of them at the moment is kind of throwing me off. And I'm pretty sure that might be a little intentional. Well, the random encounters here don't feel like anything especially noteworthy to me. Maybe I'm just not paying enough attention or something. But I'm not feeling any kind of pressure whatsoever. Hell, I might be able to get away with not having to change our classes again. Well, okay. Maybe I might have been wrong about this game being especially brutal. While we had quite a rough start, it's not exactly pushing me to the limit, especially not at the moment. Oof. Granted, we're taking some harsh hits from those ropers, but we're taking them down before they can finish us off. There's a decent amount of attrition as we're pushing through here, but considering the amount of supplies we have at the moment, I'm not exactly feeling pressured. Huh. Doesn't seem to be any hidden paths there. It's just a random dead end for the sake of there being a random dead end. Wait, why the hell was that lizard thing here called a cockatrice? That's supposed to be a kind of supernatural chicken that turns you to stone, right? If you have a lizard that can turn you to stone, call it a basilisk. Not that it got the chance to even try to turn us to stone. That just felt kind of weird to me there. Whew. For half a second there, I thought that Brett got poisoned by hitting that poisoned frog, not from the attack that hit him just seconds before that. I suppose that's the price you pay when you hit the auto battle button. Sometimes you lose track of what caused a specific status effect. Okay, doesn't look like this floor is gonna be the one where we finish things off in here. Huh. So there's no chests and no hidden items in this dungeon? But we've got a bunch of dead ends that feel like spots where they place that sort of thing. Certainly odd, still not as bad as what I heard the dungeon design in Final Fantasy II was like. A whole lot of dead ends and empty rooms for the sake of making the player check absolutely everywhere. As if the unintuitive but easy to potentially abuse leveling up system wasn't rough enough. At the very least, that was rough enough to convince me it wasn't worth playing through from beginning to end. Doesn't look like there's any real need to check the map in here. It's just a single path that doesn't even go far enough for me to say that it's spiraling. certainly a unique monster design there. Not sure what that sea creature is supposed to be based off of, and considering how fast we killed them, we didn't really get a sense of how dangerous they might be. Not exactly feeling all that worried at all in this dungeon. Okay, guess this is the end of the dungeon, which probably means we're in for a boss fight soon. I wasn't expecting to reach the water crystal this fast, considering how long it took for us to get to the earth crystal in the fire, one. Yeah, good. Are you kidding me? Did Aria just get killed right in front of us? Seriously, if we're gonna have named characters getting killed off, can we at least get to know them before they die? As much as I dislike how Final Fantasy IV has a number of moments where several named characters nearly get killed, and it turns out they didn't, at least they gave us a good amount of time to get to know them both on and off the battlefield before it was time for them to go. Anyway, guess we're fighting the Kraken with little to no fanfare here. He certainly seems to be a recurring foe in this series, with the same weaknesses to lightning on the 3 times we fought him so far. Though he certainly looks different each time. Honestly, I think I like the Kraken's appearance in this game, which is a bit interesting, considering how many of the monster designs I've seen in this game that I just can't seem to get behind. I suppose it had to happen occasionally, considering how many different monsters there are in this game. Well, it certainly looks like Carmine won't need Midori to heal him. That blood sword is really doing enough of a favor for him that he could possibly get away with fighting this battle without any healing from the other 3. Oof, Britt is definitely taking the worst hits. Not surprising, but still annoying. Ah, well. Apparently that boss fight did not last long. The poor guy's just another forgettable encounter, really. Right, so she still seems to be dying. Okay, got to admit, I like the Dragoon class, and the Black Belt should be a good upgrade for the Monk class. I doubt I'm gonna bother at all with the Geomancer, Evoker, or Bard, though. Perhaps the wrong decision, all things considered, but that's what I feel like just looking at the classes we gained based on their names. I suppose we aren't allowed to do anything for Aria's corpse at all. And really, no music, no sound effects? What the hell? Oh, now we get a sound effect, and the screen is blacking out. Excuse me for not really giving a shit. Okay, so our boat is in the middle of the ocean now for some reason. Not where we actually left it, but for some reason as land comes up, it slots in just perfectly around the land. And there's a village there that seems... Oh, what the hell? Apparently this village shows no signs of water damage and has a population the same as any other village we've come across. Just what the hell is going on here? I don't suppose there's a reasonable reason for these people not dying when the world was flooded. I mean, even if they were turned to stone, I'm sure that would cause some damage. At the very least to the buildings around them. I'm not asking for extensive world building here, but even for a game with an excuse plot, this feels way too bullshit for me to swallow. Nice to see that we entirely healed, but after 3 days I'd be pretty pissed if we somehow didn't. Well, the Geomancer certainly looks pretty similar to the Black Mage, though that is a bit of a trick, especially since they can't actually use any kind of magic whatsoever. Ah, the beauties of the Pixel Remaster. We have a safety net for any easy mistakes, but hopefully I won't grow too used to that safety net when I'm finally done with the games in the Pixel Remaster. Okay, no basic potions sold here for some reason. Just high potions which feel awkward to grab when our health isn't really high enough to warrant using them all that frequently. Though, I'm probably just one of the only people crazy enough to complain about the fact that we've got a better quality healing item instead of the ability to buy the most basic kind. Oh well, we've still got a pretty large supply of them since our last time on the floating continent. We should be good for a while. I'm sorry, there's a chain on our ship? Bit of an odd roadblock for us to deal with at this point. It kind of makes me wonder why they bothered to give us that boat that doubles as an airship, especially if they were just going to pin it down at the next juncture. By the way, if that guy thought we're here to remove the light from the crystal, he's dead wrong. We're the Warriors of Light, not the Warriors of Darkness. Right. Sounds like we have our next destination a bit of annoying terrain between here and there. I suppose there's going to be fighting to do once we enter the sewers, isn't there? Well, that's certainly not a problem. I prefer to deal with our opponents rather physically. As a side note, should I bother asking how our hero suddenly became so much better with a piano? I'm sorry, are we supposed to be seeing something as this rather nice tune plays in the background? My mistake. I had to advance the text box to let us see everyone in the tavern start dancing. Sorry about that. It's definitely cute to see, even if the graphics don't really allow for the dancing to look like anything particularly nice. They're not even moving to the beat. Ah, well, we can use a bit of lightheartedness, and it's not like the game can really manage to make things dramatic or tense, even if we've seen 2 named characters die so far. Well, that should do it for this clip.